With 14 years of experience in animal welfare and as the founder of BISSELL Pet Foundation, Cathy Bissell is dedicated to creating solutions for animal welfare organizations and the communities they serve. Cathy oversees the foundation's day-to-day operations, constantly collaborating with small and large animal shelters in different parts of the country to understand the most pressing challenges and needs and develop programs to make the greatest impact. Cathy's hands-on approach and life-saving mission have launched programs to support its growing partner network of more than 6,000 shelters in all 50 states, impacting nearly 1 million pets since 2011. Cathy's insight into the struggles of shelters and pet owners inspired her to create the groundbreaking Fix the Future Spay Neuter initiative in September of 2023 to address the lack of access to vet care and high cost for both shelters and pet owners. Through the deployment of BISSELL Pet Foundation's network of 390 and growing relief veterinarians, the foundation is reducing future shelter intake and solving the access to care crisis at low to no cost for communities across the country. Since its inception, Fix the Future has provided 198,000 spay neuter surgeries and is now the nation's fastest growing free spay neuter program. Additionally, in 2016, Cathy conceived and established the foundation's Empty the Shelters adoption event, which has since become the nation's largest funded adoption event and has helped to find homes for more than 340,000 pets. Cathy is the driving force behind BISSELL Pet Foundation's work. Shelters know they can turn to Cathy and BISSELL Pet Foundation to respond quickly to their concerns. Cathy carefully manages every dollar donated, ensuring the greatest possible impact. 100% of contributions to BISSELL Pet Foundation go directly toward helping pets. Today, Cathy owns 6 adopted pets, who inspire her as daily reminders to continue saving animals until every pet has a home. So thank you to Cathy, and thank you to Ohio Animal Advocates for sponsoring this session. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the one and only Cathy Bissell.
Well, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be able to speak about this incredible program that was started almost 2 years ago, not even quite, to all of you who are here and to be able to participate. So it's a journey always, and Fix the Future started out of just happened. We really weren't doing more than just giving grants out for spay and neuter, and then following up on the grants and making sure they were being used properly at the shelters. But as need turned out, we started this Fix the Future. So our vision for this program is a world where no pet suffers from overpopulation or neglect. We envision a future where spay and neuter services and wellness care are universally accessible and supported by a community dedicated to responsible pet care. Through our efforts, we strive for a compassionate society where every pet is cherished, cared for, and given the opportunity to thrive in a loving home. And I know you all feel exactly the same way we do, and this is why we started Fix the Future. So it was really interesting. In the summer, basically, of 2023, I got a phone call from a woman who I was familiar with and knew at Humane Society US. She worked a lot in Puerto Rico, and that was her kind of baby. She called me to say, would you be able to, work with the Sato project in Puerto Rico and do spay neuter? And I said, we don't do spay neuter. No, we can't do that. And she's like, you can. I know you can. You can do it. So she put us up to the challenge, and we did. We had 9 veterinarians that we were able to find. We found one key veterinarian, and she connected us, which was always the way it works. There's always connections. We were able to get 26 vet techs for a call out, and they all went to Puerto Rico on an investment of $175,000. We spayed and neutered 1,222 pets in 6 days, and it was an amazing project with the Sato project. So working together with an organization to make it happen. I actually raised the $175,000 in 3 phone calls, and all of that money went to the to what we needed in Puerto Rico: anesthesia machines, autoclaves, everything we needed got shipped over there. $175,000 went to Puerto Rico and actually is still in Puerto Rico and being used by the Sato Project. As vets come in, they have this beautiful equipment, and Chrissy Beckles is watching over all of it and making sure spay and neuter is continuing. We are also helping her with veterinarians, because it's not always that easy to find people. So we are helping support her program in Puerto Rico now. So after Puerto Rico, I was like, oh, we need so much spay neuter in Detroit. I mean, it's terrible. I wonder if we could get one of the vets that came with us on this trip to go to Detroit. Sure enough, we worked out of Detroit Animal Control. They were in desperate need with so many pets coming in. COVID is just over. It's just, it's a bad situation. So it worked. And we thought, boy, we can continue this. And this is why it was so organic. We were starting to hear of veterinarians who were interested, and we just, put this into play, and we thought this model is going to work, and it's working in the shelter system and with veterinarians who are private practice vets or relief vets who want to come in and join us. So our goal for Fix the Future, the program was designed to provide access to care for all pets. Currently, the program has provided spay and neuter, vaccines, and microchips for over 254,586 dogs and cats since November of 2023. It's hard to believe that we are able to vaccinate, microchip, ear tip. A lot of times, if these pets are coming in as strays or if they're ferals, we, deflea them. We also run heartworm tests on them. So we're doing everything we can, because we know this one time we have this pet, this is it. We're going to do what we can. And it's just growing, and the need is huge. So for many Fix the Future pets, their visit with our veterinarians is the only time that they see them. We have already exceeded 153,911 surgeries, and our goal is 190,000 this year alone. We actually our goal is 190,000. It's all about finances. We do this very inexpensively, but we're thinking right now we could push to 210 this year alone, which would be amazing. So Fix the Future was created to address the lack of access to veterinary care for both shelters and pet owners. The picture you see is our very first clinic that we had in Michigan. It was really amazing. BPF manages a network of high quality, high volume veterinarians ready for deployment. These veterinarians are matched with host organizations in need of spay neuter services. The host organizations organize the staffing, the pets, the medical supplies, the travel, and incidentals. The veterinarians perform the surgeries, and BISSELL Pet Foundation pays the veterinarian. So right now in our program, we have 550 relief veterinarians, which is incredible. We haven't been able to put all of them to work yet because it's this, matchmaking that we're doing that takes time. But we have 311 veterinarians cutting for us right now, 180 host organizations, and 34 host organizations on the wait list. So you can see we're already backed up in this. People are calling us constantly saying, can you help? Can you help? We need help. For large cities as well as areas that have no one. So we're doing our best to try and accommodate, but of course it's a lot of work, and finding the matches and getting the program moving can be difficult, but it's working. Countless pets are spayed and neutered through this partnership. This is a disruptor program with a working formula where high quality, high volume veterinarians, host organizations, and BPF are all working together. I really wanted this to be a disruptor program because, and it's very, very low cost. Well, I'll get into that a little bit further, but we keep it low cost so that everybody has access. And I have to say, it's not just the people that don't have money. It's for everyone, honestly, because the people that do have money can't get in either. We have organizations, people just cannot sign up to get in. It's months away. And sometimes if you have a female cat and a male cat in the same house, you're in trouble, or same with dogs, as you know. So what we do is we have a requirement to keep this moving, and why our numbers are so good. we require that 40 to 60 cats a day, and some vets actually have done 90. So it's crazy, like all males. Great, go for it. Go for as many as you can. We're so excited when that happens. We like to see 30 to 50 dogs. And, at 30, they're typically the larger dogs and maybe more females. And so it can be a little bit more difficult. And 30 to 50 for a mixed population is what we hope for. We aim to run Fix the Future for a full day to save as many lives as possible. So we count on the veterinarians being there 5 to 6 hours a day. So if you've met the quota, we say, well, could you stay some more hours and let's get more done? And a lot of times this is being performed at a shelter. And so there are shelter pets, or if it's TNR, people can bring more pets in pretty easily. Veterinarian payment will be made on a sliding scale. So if minimum numbers cannot be met due to unforeseen circumstances like veterinarians needing to leave early because of weather or host organizations that don't supply enough pets, we adjust the pay. But typically we have one set pay for everyone, and it seems to work great. I love this picture. I have to point this out because this was a shelter in Ohio that was backed up in Cincinnati. And they had so many pets they could not adopt out. They could not get spay and neuter. And we went in, and within no time, I think it was 3 months of just going sporadically, we took care of their population and then started community, which was awesome. I love that picture because they posted that. It was really fun. So all veterinarians are required to sign an MOU and provide a certificate of general liability insurance. That's really important. We want adequate surgical space to support high volume surgeries because, as you know, intake and recovery can be, take up a lot of space depending on how fast the doctors are. So it's important. Space must include surgical tables, autoclaves, spay neuter packs, adequate recovery space. Recovery space must be able to accommodate the volume of pets. Staffing, we do require a minimum of 3 veterinarian technicians with at least 2 high volume, high quality trained, just because it can go pretty quickly, and it will be the techs that seem to slow things down a little bit. We're all about, if you have 2 stations, having techs learn, but we really need people to be making this happen quickly. And because I think of our kind of rules, it's working, and people don't mind. They find those people, and it seems to work out well. Accommodate veterinarians, pay travel and accommodations if applicable are taken care of when they can be taken care of, not necessarily through us, but through the host organizations. On occasion, if we have a grant for a specific area, we can help with that, but typically the host organization covers that. And scheduling, scheduled veterinarians to BPF prior to surgery date. So the veterinarians and the host organizations pretty much line up their own days, and they let us know about them, and then we follow and track them. So it makes for an easier system. So what didn't work for us? So we had to adjust our co-pays per cat and dog because when we started the program, we saw a lot of cats coming through because it was free to everyone at that time. And it was only cats that were coming through because the cost for medical and just the needs for the dogs was higher. So we adjusted that and made it 25 a cat and 35 a dog. And I do believe it was 20 all in. So they would get money it was $20, but we adjusted it. Scheduling to better support veterinarians, we reinforced full day shifts for high achievers. We gave borderline high quality, high volume vets the opportunity to build skills and reach minimum goals. So we have the sliding scale. So if they want to go in and they want to work and they understand the sliding scale for pay, fantastic. Go in, learn and do it. We've had a couple of younger veterinarians out of Michigan State actually who have done just that, and they're working towards higher numbers, and they achieved it really quickly. So it was really fun. We learned that need alone isn't enough for the program to succeed. The community must truly want it. We can struggle in certain communities to get started, but once we start, they understand it and it moves quickly, but it is and can be difficult if not everybody wants this program. And but when you do, it works. So recognize that Fix the Future is an organic program. It cannot be forced into the communities. We're trying, but it can't be. So what we've learned, many veterinarians prefer flexibility over full-time employment, and I think that's why we have so many signed up for this. With this program, we did have a vet out of Louisiana. He did surgeries 125 days last year. So he also has a job, but he wanted extra income, and sure enough, he nailed it. So people can be flexible. If you only want a couple days a year, if you want 125, whatever you can do. Supporting diverse schedules is key, accomplished through consistent and clear communications. So we have really worked hard to be sure we're communicating on the same level with everyone. We often have get-togethers, groups, webinars where we can talk about what's going right and what's not working. And that's how we just keep shifting and making this program work. Expanding into areas with no existing veterinarian services. Oh, it's tough, but we're doing it. These gaps exist for two main reasons: lack of resources, so no facilities, equipment, or staffing, and lack of community buy-in to address the problem. But we're working and we find solutions. Each situation requires a customized long-term approach, often demanding significant time and effort. And that is the truth. It does take time to open up these areas, but when we do it, it's very worthwhile. So here are some of our top Fix the Future states. You can see Texas, and Texas was a little bit later in our start, but we're almost at, 39,000, Louisiana 28,000, Kentucky 27, Ohio 22, Mississippi 20. Mississippi is newer to this program. Alabama 16, Arkansas almost 16, Florida almost 16, Colorado almost 14, and Michigan almost 9. So those are our top states, but of course, we're also working in a lot more states. I want to say 30 more states. So, and the numbers are growing constantly. So wanting to make a difference in our own community, I wanted to understand how this program was going to work. So we did Detroit, and then I hosted an event in Grand Rapids. And it's kind of a funny story because I looked everywhere, and Grand Rapids is a great city with a lot of spots where we could have hosted, a clinic, but for whatever reason, no one would let us do a clinic. So I have a barn, and it was a new barn, and I converted it to a spay neuter clinic and invited 7 veterinarians in. So we set up 7 tables, and a lot of techs came, and we had great volunteers. And this became kind of our control clinic. And it's worked out really, really well. We had a veterinarian from Texas come and help us set this up. She was also our lead in Puerto Rico, so some of you may know who she is. She did a phenomenal job, and now this clinic is running every 2 weeks on its own. Well, actually not on its own. We have a lead vet, but she's in Michigan, and we invite 4 to 5 veterinarians every 2 weeks to come. Starting this year or the new year, we're going to have 2 days back to back, especially for the ferals. So we can do ferals, we do dogs and cats, we mix it up, but we have a really great system. We opened it up to the public initially, and we had hundreds of people show up. You can imagine, even from bordering states. That was not going to work. The amount of people we had to deal with was huge. It was not okay. So we decided we would break it up into shelters across the state of Michigan. So shelters, maybe, let's say Detroit Animal Control is 2 to 2.5 hours away. When we have slots for them, we'll say we have 30 to 40 cats or dogs. They drive them. They sit there all day. They work in the clinic, and then they drive their animals home. So we may offer this up to 8 different shelters with numbers, depending on how many veterinarians. We have 7 tables, but it's 4 to 5 we usually get. And that's how we do it. And we track the drug costs. So I want to understand what everything's costing. So for the hosts, I want to be able to talk to them about it, but I know how much it's costing. I know how much the vaccines are. I know what the microchips cost. I know what our heartworm testing is costing. So I'm trying to stay on top of it. And this clinic now is feeding me tons of information, and we're tracking it. And so we can pivot if we need to. If we see things change, we will pivot. So, wow, that's it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm really open to any questions at all that anybody might have.
Thank you so much, Kathy. All right. I saw lots of reactions and hearts and emojis going off throughout your presentation, and I can see them going off now.
Good.
So I know that everyone out there, you have a lot of support in the room here, and there's a lot of love for what you guys are doing. All right, so let's get into some of the questions that I saw have come up throughout. One of the questions, and I am curious about this too, just based on our own training experience, what about licensing for vets in all the different states? You know, you have this cohort or at the ready team ready for deployment, and so how does licensing work in that
So
regard?
licensing works. These veterinarians who are applying, they are licensed in the states that they'll be working in. So, we have, let's say, 30 Florida veterinarians. We have, 30 Michigan. Alabama, I know, was short on veterinarians for where we needed a vet to go. So one of our Michigan veterinarians went and got licensed in Alabama. So people do, we also had a Louisiana doctor get licensed in Florida. So they just, he vacations, the Michigan vet vacations in Alabama, believe it or not. So he's like, geez, I love doing this program. He's a retired veterinarian. He had his own private practice. And he said, this is so much more fun just coming and listening to music and spaying and neutering, and I love it. So he went down to Greater Birmingham and worked under Allison Cornelius down there, and worked in her clinic for 3 months of his vacation time.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And
people, that's what they do with a license. If they want to be in a certain area, they can get licensed for it. Some states are easier than others. I know that Michigan requires, fingerprints, but others can be more difficult.
yeah, we have found like some states are very, I guess reciprocity is the word, right? Of when states will welcome other licenses or other states licensing into their own state. And so there are states with reciprocity, then there are states that are very, very restrictive. And so it can be a challenge to figure that out.
Yep.
Another question that came in is, have you, or in your experience, like what have the reasons been for communities who might not want this program or not be ready for this program? What are those reasons typically?
Well, it's just harder to set up, especially in some of these bigger cities where there might be unions involved because of overtime and if a tech, so we can find the veterinarians, but sometimes it's the techs that are really hard to find. And if they're union techs, then they're not going to work the overtime or they don't want to. And it's just hard to set it up, or if it's disruptive. So I also, there are a couple of areas I had a grant, just to be honest, I had a grant for numerous spots around the country, specific call outs to different shelters. And so those communities, the money was for community. But some of the organizations didn't want to go as low as we're going because they actually make money on their spay and neuter. Not a lot of money, but they make some money. So for them, it didn't work. And so things like that don't work. If they're charging $200 for a community pet and I'm saying, for a dog or whatever, and I'm saying you can only charge 35 to be in our program, it doesn't work for you because it's part of your money making. So they're just different issues like that.
Different models, yeah. Another question, does this program require surgeries or recoveries to take place in an AAHA accredited shelter or suite?
No, not that I am aware of. I'm not sure on the technical side of that, but I don't think so. I think that these surgeries, I mean, they're happening in shelters mainly. And so obviously the shelters have a facility set up and it's working for them. So it's taking place in that shelter and they obviously have room. They have people that are qualified. So I'm sure that it must be approved. I can't answer that for sure, but it must be. And then where it's not, we're working in places that are more private practice. We rent the table. So we actually do a little bit more and we will rent the table in some of the places where there are no options for people for low cost. And the veterinarian that does make money in that community says, listen, I'm closed on Sunday. You can have my table on Sunday, pay me X amount, and it's yours. And they're not worried about it. Sometimes the DEA comes in with the veterinarian, and sometimes the veterinarian knows this vet and is right there, while they're using the drugs. So it all just, depends. But I'm sure they must be all in good shape.
Our next question comes from an elected official herself. Commissioner Spears is asking if any local government officials, counties or cities have engaged or partnered or financially supported the organization or the work that you're doing, and were they supportive of the program or not?
Very supportive. I mean, I can tell you from my own community, very supportive. Financially supportive, of course not. I mean, getting money from, it's just so hard. But I will tell you, since you're a commissioner and going back to your community, I mean, it is the most important thing. It is the one thing that will change your numbers at your shelters. It will create lower costs. I mean, you won't have strays on your streets. I mean, people have got to embrace spay and neuter, and I know they want to embrace the look of a cute puppy that's been hit by a car that's getting medical attention. But honestly, that's important too, but there's nothing more important than spay and neuter. And so I haven't had any resistance from officials, which is great. But just no financial support.
Absolutely. Yeah. The all rescue work is important, and we don't diminish any rescue work, but
No.
without that spay neuter piece, you're only ever going to get so far, and you're going to be stuck in the same rut.
Yeah.
So important. All right. Let's see. Do your clinics, besides pets, do your clinics do spay neuter for community cats?
Of course. Oh my gosh. Yes. Lots and lots and lots of community cats. And that's why we're going to open up for our own clinic here in Michigan, back-to-back days for cats, because cats, we started in February seeing pregnant cats in Michigan. So it's pretty cold in February. And yeah, it was a big deal. So we will start back to back in the new year, but everybody does community cat. It doesn't matter. I mean, this program is for every animal to keep the suffering down.
More spay neuter, the better, all around.
Yes, all around.
So Gloria is asking, where do you begin or who do you approach to achieve community buy-in when you're
Well,
going somewhere new?
so a lot of times communities reach out to us, and then we work to set them up. We work to find places where we could, or that's why I'm saying it's a big effort. It takes a lot of time, but it works. We find places that can support the spay and neuter, a host, and then we find the veterinarians. So basically, not every community has this, and sometimes if they don't have it, it's not possible. The people will drive. They'll drive hours. So I'm sure none of you follow me on my social, but on my personal page last week, I had a girl contact me. She had 23 cats in her home, and her father, as she said, was a raging alcoholic, and he did not care. These cats were just having babies, and she said, I could not get my hands around it. So she called everyone at 17 years old, and she called somebody in Detroit, and they gave her my information, and she drove 6 hours. I mean, they had nothing. She drove with these cats in the back of her car. She brought 11 down because the mom had kittens, and she was able to give that up to a shelter. But she brought these 11 cats down, and one of our community organizations took in the kittens. She took all the adults back and was thrilled. And I mean, to drive so far, 6 hours each way, I mean, when we gave them some gas money, they cried. I mean, huge tears. I mean, they struggle, but they did the right thing, and it was just amazing.
You said she was a 17-year-old girl.
17-year-old girl. I just said to her, you're going to be somebody special one day, because that is amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. What a story.
Hmm.
All right, so we have a lot of questions. I'm trying to read through them all. So thank you, everyone. Keep submitting those questions for us. Um, I think we just touched on that one. Do the vet techs need to be licensed, or can they be experienced, high quality, high volume prep and assistant techs?
They can be, they do not have to be licensed. I mean, every state is different, so I guess when we set things up, it's up to the host organization to make sure if they have to have a license, but some states require and some don't. So my lead tech here in Michigan, she is not licensed, but she has been doing this for 30 years. She is really good and really fast.
Yeah, the experienced team is key. And
Yeah,
so I do have I before I your all of your questions are great. I also had a question that I remember that came up. You had talked a little bit about the opportunity for the folks, the vets who can't like do the scale quite yet. They're not at that high volume
yeah.
place yet, but they want to be and they're willing to give some time to it. And so we've had in our own training program, we've had that question of like, I'm not there yet, like, so there's like this in between of vets who are new and aren't up to speed, but maybe are interested, and then the vets who are already there. And so like, how have you found it successful to work with those folks who are in that gray space? And like, how long does it take? Like, what is a reasonable expectation to take like a new grad who's just starting out and then getting them up to speed?
Well, so we had one grad in particular that she had worked on one of my dogs from the South that had been shot, and she worked with a lead guy at Michigan State, a lead veterinarian, really fantastic man, Dr. Desjardins. I don't know if anybody on this call knows him, but he's an amazing man. And she loves surgery, and she heard what we were doing. She's like, I really want to try it. So we worked with her a couple of times, and she was slow, but she was just in the background, no requirements, just wanting to learn. And then her first full day at the clinic, she did 89 cats, 89 male cats. And I said, I'd say you're high volume now. And she comes regularly from the Detroit area to participate. So it depends on the person. But that sliding scale really, if there's a veterinarian in a community that is good and wants to learn, why not give them that opportunity to step in when they can? There's a sliding scale for pay. They understand that. And then they learn from it, or they can go and watch. Either way, we have a lot of, this is really interesting now that we're talking about this, we have a lot of surgeons and people in the human world, doctors and PAs coming in to assist now. One of our really well-known eye surgeons is now coming every other week to work in the clinic, and she was just wanting to get in there. So now she is a vet tech. She is doing everything, and so are a lot of these PAs. And I have some general practitioners that come in. So you can open it up to a lot of talented people. Once people hear about what you're doing in your community, others want to come in. We have fantastic volunteers that come and dedicate so much time. Um, I will say having too many volunteers is not always that good because it slows you down too. But being able to accommodate and work with people who are really interested to make the difference is fabulous.
I love that. People from the human medicine side of things are stepping in. They're like, oh, let's change it up. Let's help some cats and dogs.
It's really, really wonderful. It's because usually their spouse is involved or their spouse loves animals, but yeah, it's just so fun to see.
All right. So again, I'm looking through these questions here. Speaking of our volunteers, do you bring any of the high schools into the volunteer mix?
So I haven't brought high school because they're too young. So we have requirements just in case something happens with a dog or, you don't know, cat scratching, whatever. So we absolutely, they have to be of age, 18 or older. They have to sign a waiver and then they can come and participate. We have a lot of students that are starting to go into vet school who come, and it's great. We don't put them in a role that they need to be fast, but we put them in a role where they can learn and they love it. We had a couple this summer, and then we also have a college near us that just trains techs. And one of the head tech uh, head techs comes with these students every week, and they work together and show them how to do things. So the techs are constantly learning because we do see that it's very difficult to find technicians that can do this.
So I think we touched on this, but hopping back to the budgeting aspect. And so the $25 per cat, um, someone is saying that it's very difficult for them to achieve that number because just for 6 hours of work and 30 animals, it's cost them $750 to cover staff for that time and supplies. So do you have any recommendations for like how do people successfully budget for this and what does that look like?
So that money is basically for incidentals, sutures, all of that. You know, the 25 for cats and 35 for dogs. The rest of it, so these are people who are on staff typically. So if we're doing it in a shelter, they already have techs there. They already have the equipment. So this is just covering the cost, not the cost of the employees. It's just covering the cost of the incidentals. That's really the formula here, that we share a cost and then we cover the high cost of the veterinarian that's coming in. So there's already costs there and they're paying it anyway. So it's just part of how this formula works.
Got it. Thank you for touching on that. Um, let's see. Sorry, I'm just skimming through. I think we've gotten to some of these. Let's see. Our organization's mission. Do you have any suggestions to fundraise for the clinic? They don't spay and neuter currently, so they don't have any current videos or fun pictures of cats or stories because they're just trying to get started. So I think this question is like their vision and mission is to create a spay neuter clinic, but I think they don't have the clinic space yet. So any recommendations for getting started down this path and this kind of work?
You know, either work with us so we can help you set it up or work with your local veterinarian to see if he can help you get started. And maybe there's a Sunday that you could work out. You know, it's just getting the space. It's also, in all honesty, so when I equipped my barn, and a lot of you probably know this, but I was not going to pay $6,000 or $7,000 a table. Absolutely not. So I bought everything you can see in the background of this picture. Everything we got was from Uline. I got Uline tables. I mean, it was so cost effective. I mean, I think all in setting up one station was $7,000, maybe not even that much. It was very inexpensive, and those racks in the back were for cats. We line them with a plastic, and we have probably 20 racks because we get so many cats in on cat days, feral cats as well, and we do have an area so that you know when the ferals come in, of course, we want to check them. So we put them in a room where they can check really all cats to be sure they don't get out of any of the doors. But yeah, I would say it's not that expensive once you start looking into it. If you have space, it's just having the recovery space and the intake space that's important. The equipment itself isn't that bad. And when people in your community know that there's a problem, I bet you'd be surprised who would step up to help. Our problem is bigger because we're funding so much across the country. And I think this year, which is, we're going to spend about $6.4 million on spay and neuter. That's a lot of money for a very small foundation. And I've had to pull from some of my other programs, like my Empty the Shelter, which is hugely important to me because adoption is hugely important. I've had to pull, and I'm hoping we're going to get noticed and somebody's going to step up with some money so that I can get back to my adoption program being the way it should be as well. And funding shelters. I'm all about funding shelters and making sure that, you know, they're in good shape. So it's expensive, but it's worth it. I know it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess a follow-up question to that was, is the nonprofit setup necessary to raise funds and give credibility, especially if you're appealing to a local government to raise the money needed?
I mean, I would think so because otherwise money, you know, I've followed money for a long time now because I've been doing this for 14 years and I was giving out the money. And I realized after my first year that I needed to follow up on the money. And I think so having an organization be in place that's the proper organization for people to donate to so that they can follow your work and see how the money is being spent. I think it's really, you got to be transparent and you've got to show all your numbers. So yes, I think people will give more to you if you are.
We have someone else, Michelle, saying, I do community outreach in Southern Georgia. They have a 501(c)(3). Any chance you would work with organizations like theirs? Grant opportunities for community outreach organizations, people who are doing the education and outreach for spay neuter?
So we don't do that. Unfortunately, we can't do it all, and that we don't do. Sorry to say, because it's costing us so much money to do this program now, and we just started, we've been in Georgia, in Tift County, up in Valdosta, and, we're working now in Athens, Athens Animal Shelter. And, so we're working with, Fix Georgia Pets, and maybe they would be a group you would wanna, reach out to. We're just working with them to help make sure that animals get into Athens, and we're hoping to expand that, but they may be someone you would want to speak with.
Excellent reference. And I'm sorry, I have just a follow-up question to that $25 per cat
Yep,
number. I want to make sure folks understand. So they're asking, do you allow folks to ask for donations to cover the extra cost on their end? So they can charge $25 a cat, but ask for a certain amount over as donation for staffing.
we don't. We don't allow it because this is a disruptor program. And the whole idea is that we want to force spay neuter to be very, very low cost. And we understand that people have costs and they can't do it. This program isn't for them. Hey, I'm all around the country seeing the suffering. I get, emails and messages constantly, and shelter directors crying that they're going to have to kill off all these puppies. I can't stand it anymore, and that is part of the vision of this. This should be free. This should be the one thing that people have access to that is free. It's just too cost prohibitive. So if that helps your answer.
I think that is very helpful. Wendy is asking who you are working with in Puerto Rico currently. Is there another organization doing cat spay neuters to reach out to?
So the Sato project is who we work with. When we started there, we don't work with anybody else, unfortunately. I mean, it's just I'm trying to get, done what we can. Like I said, we have 35 people waiting to get into this program, and we'll get there. Part of it is funding, but the Sato project is really where we're working, and that's where when we bought all the equipment and we sent it to them, they have it. But I'm sure if you contacted Chrissy Beckles, I mean, I'm not positive, but I would hope that she would allow some of the space maybe to do cats at some point. I mean, everybody needs to work together. These are tough times, and I know that Puerto Rico has, yikes, I want to say like 1 million cats roaming on that island.
Another question. Do you feel your biggest impact is in rural or more metropolitan areas?
So, I like to focus on both. So we are spread out in rural areas across the country. We're making our way into the big cities. We are participating in a lot of big cities right now. Baton Rouge finally was able to start to do own pets. They weren't allowed to for a while, but then things changed. New Orleans, we're working in Miami, we're moving into Riverside, which is really going to be great. And so those are all really important, and those things can happen a lot faster. If you saw our Texas number, Dallas took a while to get up and running, and now that's going, but we're in Houston, we're in San Antonio, those are all great, but we are not forgetting the rural areas. And that's typically where we're renting tables to have veterinarians go in and perform surgeries. So we also rent shelter tables. So when there's a good shelter in place, the shelters, if they're not cutting on a certain day, they open up a table and we send a vet in to do community, and they're all about it. So we just try and make it work where we can.
Do you work internationally or know of other orgs who do something similar outside of the States?
So for spay and neuter, we do grant internationally, but that's it because I can't get there. I have our company is international. So our company team people go out and meet with the shelters. And if they're set up and can do spay neuter, we work with them. We check out the backgrounds, but that's about it. I know that other people are doing it internationally. I want to say maybe Greater Good. I do believe they're doing it, so they would be someone to call.
Yeah, we are connected with it's a little bit of a different model, but there is Spay Mexico who's working in Mexico, and they do Spay Global. They have many different offshoots of their work where it is like these MASH clinics that bring together a bunch of veterinarians who come in and do spay neuter work. We do have some international resources on our website as well. So yeah, there's a big contingent of folks out there who are trying different models to plug in and see what works where and how we can make all of this fit together. Oh, Tammy says, please tell Miss Bissell she's made a huge difference in our babies' lives in Kentucky. A huge thanks
Oh,
from Kentucky Kitty Cats.
thank you. Yes, Kentucky has been big.
And
Thank you.
I'm sure that love comes from many, 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 many parts of the country. So as we begin to wrap up here, I want to thank you again for answering so many of our questions today. But I am going to
I
ask you
love
just
answering questions. I love it. So
I'm going to ask you just a couple more to wrap
oh
things
yeah,
up.
absolutely.
Like what's like the one next step? If someone's listening to this, they say, this is great. I'm not sure if it's for me, but like I'm interested. I want to learn. Like, what's the one next step that these groups, even if they're small, could be taking to work with you?
So they could contact Kim Album, who is this, she runs this program, and it's Kim, Kim dot ALBUM, Kim Album at Bissell, BISSELL.com.
Perfect. And that's your next step right there.
Yep, yep. And then she can tell you, will it work, won't it work? I mean, we're trying, and we want to loop back around, and we try to talk to everybody about the problems they have so we can try and find solutions for communities, because it's heartbreaking.
All right. So one last question for you. What is the one takeaway you hope everyone leaves today's session with?
Some way, and I'm sure everybody on this call is the same, trying to partner up somewhere with someone to get spay neuter done at a cost effective in a cost effective manner, and to call us if they need help in any way, because this program is working, and it's working so fast that we can't slow it down. The call outs are coming from everywhere, and if I had more money, I'd be going faster, because for me, it's really important. And please don't turn down the person that, I know it's tough, that has money, because they are equally having a hard time getting in to get their pets fixed, and maybe they would be your next donor. So keep your arms open for spay and neuter, do whatever you can for everyone, and then hopefully it comes back to you.
That is beautiful advice. I want
So
to thank you so much, Cathy. And we are just such huge fans of obviously you and the Bissell Pet Foundation and the Fix the Future program. I mean, you guys are doing some incredible stuff, and you are leading the charge for funding for spay neuter. I think you guys are one of the leaders out there. We're just so
um,
grateful to you for doing
well,
this work.
I just want to say thank you to all of you, the people who are listening, who care for you, for everything everyone's doing to make a difference, because this is where it counts, right here, spay and neuter. So we're going to keep pushing. So thank you very much.